So we hit the record button so that what I do know about this content is if you're interested in what we're doing here. Oh, real quick, let me check.
Hang on. We are seeing your master. Oh, never mind. We see a dentist near me. That's the way it's supposed to look here.
Yeah. This is a slide. Yeah.
Okay, I want to make sure.
Yeah, and no, we're all good.
And Randy Blasek would like you to know he's in attendance.
Who? Sorry.
Randy Blasek.
Okay. This is awesome. It's like blast from the past. So anyway, let's get back on track here because now I hit the record button. So whatever I do now is going to be forever remembered. But yeah, we're really glad you guys are doing this. And I hope you have a blast. But we just did this session again, and this is an amazing, I haven't seen this particular social media thing presented. So we're excited as Dent Splice Rona to be the platform tonight. We're not selling products. It's not about dental procedures tonight. It's about your practices. And I want to thank SDP and also Litchfield for being the ones to take this on and host your local events so the GPs and everything that are there can take something away. There is some unbelievable takeaways that will make a difference in your practice that you're about to see. From the last session, I'm imagining, unless some of you have kind of specific social media people in your practice or something, it's going to be quite a bit to absorb. However, it's laid out very simply. You will see that there are ways you can make some amazing differences in your practice's visibility and traffic. And what's great news is once this is over, we're going to send a recording, but even better, you're going to have access as much as you want. And I recommend it to get with Adrian and say, okay, I dig it. I want to do it, but what's next? Because that's a lot. And help us get on the right track. So I'll just set that tone. But it is pretty incredible that we've partnered with Adrian many times for a long time. And he does break things down really simply. And it is just like all you dentists, especially the endodontists in the room. You guys research stuff. You don't believe stuff until you've seen the peer-reviewed article, everything else. This is what Adrian does in social media. He goes out and he reviews and tests and tries to break things to see what makes them tick and everything else. And so you're truly getting an expert in any social media topic, but tonight it's about how to rank high on your Google Maps and what that can do for you. So CE credit wise, I know that Brittany, I think, is in your room and you just need to get checked in by her. And that's going to take care of your CE credits. Nothing's fancy to do. And other than that, I've hit record. I've set the table. I need to get out of the way. And Adrian, you take us over and we'll be done in an hour and a half.
Thanks, John.
You bet.
I appreciate it. That was a great introduction. You make me sound like I'm going to really lay out some pearls here. So I'm hoping I can match the setting. It's a pleasure to be here. John and I have worked together for years on stuff like this, and I appreciate the opportunity. So what we're going to do tonight is, in the hour and a half that we've got, I'm going to spend the first 45 minutes or so describing how Google Maps works, right? So kind of pull back the veil on how the little red pin in the map, how it ranks. And then the second half, I'm actually going to walk you through a few steps. The more of the main things that you need to check to make sure that you either fix or optimize in order to help that little pin in the map rank higher and at a wider radius so that you just get more phone calls. So it'll be kind of like a education in the beginning and then more of a workshop. And we'll do the workshop on your cell phone. So if you got your cell phone with you, then you'll be able to jump on your cell phone and do some of the things that we're going to be talking about. So just a little bit about me really quick so you know who I am. I'm the CEO of a company called My Social Practice. We've been in the dental industry for about 15 years, and we only work with dentists. And our name, My Social Practice, came about because when we did get into the industry, the first product that we developed was a social media product. And this was back in 2009, way before Instagram and TikTok. And I mean, this is basically Facebook back then. We were years ahead of the game on this, actually probably too early, because it took us about a year to get the idea of marketing with social media into the minds of dentists and dental teams. But that's why we called our name My Social Practice. We thought we would just stay a social media marketing company, but over the next 15 years, we've been asked by our clients to build websites and do search engine optimization and do Google ads and help practices get reviews and design, graphic design and copywriting and all that kind of stuff. So really right now we're pretty much a digital marketing company. We do anything that's digital. And as we go through this tonight, what we're going to be focusing on is search engine optimization, specifically local search engine optimization, which is the rankings and the map. So that's who we are. We've got about 30 employees. We're all remote. We dumped our office in COVID and we all work from home now. We're based out of Salt Lake, but I've got employees all over the country. And if you guys are in Phoenix, I've got a couple of employees, like three employees in Phoenix, or around Phoenix area. Was it Phoenix that they're in? Tempe or something like that? The Top Golf? Is that right? Are they in Phoenix?
I've lost track of where exactly I think it's near.
Anyway, Arizona. We got some, whatever. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay, so just a little bit about us. We've worked with about 7,000 dental practices and over the years. And so we've really, like, what I'm going to be showing you tonight, we've probably worked with maybe 2,000 or 3,000 practices on the stuff I'm going to show you. So I've spent tons and tons of time trying to figure this out and make sure that we understand how to help practices rank in Google Maps. So I've got some background in this. We've made lots of mistakes and we've got a really good system here. And what I'm going to be showing you works. So anyway, also one thing I will mention, I like to mention this because we're a company that gives back. We are, we care about our reputation. And one of the things that we've been involved with for many years that I'll just kind of like plug us and brag a little bit is we've been involved in a campaign called the Smiles for Life campaign, which is a charitable campaign where Ultradent, a group called the Crown Council, the dentists that get involved, and us all create a marketing campaign about whitening. And what happens is Ultradent donates all of the whitening supplies. The Crown Council helps organize the whole event and helps get doctors involved with it. We do all the marketing materials. And when a patient comes in to get whitening at a practice that's participating in this, in the Smiles for Life campaign, all the proceeds are donated to children's charities. And we've raised over $50 million. We just hit $50 million this last year. So super proud of that. And if you're ever interested in doing some humanitarian type or philanthropic type things, I would recommend that you take a look at the Smiles for Life campaign. You just go to smilesforlife.org and learn all about it. All right, tonight we're going to talk about mastering local SEO. And in this first educational part, I'm going to talk about what is SEO and then how does it work. That'll be kind of the first half. And then we're going to do a workshop in the second half. SEO is kind of a black box. It's confusing because there's lots of aspects to it and people throw the word around a lot and you don't know exactly what it means. So I'm going to try and just isolate what it is and the portion of SEO that we're going to be focusing on so that you can have some understanding about the piece of SEO that we're going to be talking about. So what is SEO? If you've been to a marketing meeting or you've gone to an event where there was a marketing person or, a consultant or a KOL that understands SEO, you might have heard some of these words: local SEO, organic SEO, SEM, which stands for search engine marketing. You might have heard the acronym SERPs, SERP, SERP, and then also SEO. And we're going to be focused, and those are all kind of slightly different things when it comes to talking about SEO, but we're going to be focusing on what's called local SEO. And why do we want to focus on local SEO? The reason why we want to focus on local SEO is that this is the piece of SEO that is the most practical or tactical in helping patients find your practice. Okay. I'll give you an example. So on the left, I did a search for dentist in Salt Lake City, and I just took a screenshot of the search engine page. At the top of the page, there's ads, right? We've all seen this when we use Google. You see ads a lot of times when you do a search. And ads are great. They're at the top of the page, but the consumer studies that have been done on how a person kind of reviews the search engine page after they've done a search is like 90% of people skip it. There's only like 10, maybe 15% of people that actually even trust the ads as a valuable result. And if you think about your own search habits, you probably skip the ads just like I do. So, but those are at the top of the page, okay? And that's what's called search engine marketing. And I'll come back to that in a second. Below the ads, what you'll find is the map, the Google map. And about 2/3, some studies have shown up to like 3/4 of people, this is where they go when they're doing research, especially when we're talking about like a local business, not like a national business. But if there's a local business, they have a physical location somewhere, and people are using Google to find a local business or do research on a local business, this is where they land. And if you think about your own search habits, you probably do the same thing. You come here because there's just more information in the Google map. You got a map, so you can see a location relevance to where you're located, right? So you get some information there. But you also have reviews that are attached to these listings, and the reviews are a strong social proof statement about that business, right? So about 2/3 to 3/4 of people trust and use the Google Maps section when searching for a local business. Below the map are what we call organic results, okay? These are the website results. And about 1/4 of people trust these and use them in their search. So when you think about doing a search in your own search habits, and same thing goes for your patients, most of them are going to be looking at the Google map. And this is what local search is. Local SEO is the map, okay? Now, to articulate this a little bit further, there are two types of searches when you do a search. Generally, Google looks at all the searches that might be searched, and there's generally two types. There are direct searches and discovery searches. And with each one of those, when you do the search page comes up, and they call that a SERP, search engine results page. It's a really long, kind of annoying and confusing acronym. But if you ever hear the word SERP, all that means is it's just when you hit enter after you've typed in a search phrase, what you see is a SERP, a search engine results page. Okay. So hopefully that clarifies if you've ever heard that and been confused. But going back to direct searches and discovery searches, let me talk about the difference between these two. So with a direct search, what a direct search is when a potential patient searches directly for your practice. They're either going to search the name of the practice or the name of the doctor. And when they do that, what you get is you get a whole SERP, a search engine results page, that's just full of information about your practice. Google is really, really good at understanding the search phrase when it's a direct search. So when you do a direct search, you are likely not going to find results from another dental practice, okay? Unless there's another dental practice that has the exact same name as yours in your area, okay? Over on the right-hand side of the page, when you do a direct search, is something called the knowledge graph. And the knowledge graph is information that comes directly from your Google business profile. It does not come from your website. So this Park Dentistry with the reviews and has a link to the website and directions and call and all that information, that's not coming from the website. It's coming from the listing. It's called your Google Business Profile, or GBP is another annoying acronym, okay? And your Google Business Profile is basically that little pin that shows up in the map, okay? So when you click into it, this is what a Google Business Profile is. Over on the left, you've got all the information from the Google Business Profile, and you see that little pin in the map. So this is the listing that is being displayed in the map up in the map section. Organic SEO results, when a direct search is made, what you'll find is that everything on the page is directly related to that practice. So the two top listings here are two website pages from this doctor's website. You've got the WebMD directory listing, that's a directory. You've got their Yelp listing. If you go further on the page, even further down, ShareCare, ShareCare is another directory. Park Dentistry, Temecula.com is their website again. Then they got their health grades listing. So everything on the page is related to the practice. So when you think about doing SEO, you don't need to do SEO when people are using direct searches. As long as you've got a website and your website is built correctly, now as long as you have some directory listings and those directory listings are correct, when somebody does a search for your practice, they're going to find you, okay? So you don't need to do SEO for direct searches. Now, discovery searches, on the other hand, you do need to do SEO for. And a discovery search is when somebody does a search and they don't know the end result. So dental implants in Cincinnati, Ohio, is somebody searching for a dental practice or a prosthodontist or a specialist that's providing dental implants, but they're not searching directly for the practice because they want to investigate and they need to find one, okay? And when it comes to discovery searches, this is where SEO comes into play. So when you do a discovery search, what you'll find is that at the top of the search engine results page, the SERP, there is a section for ads. This is called search engine marketing. So if you ever talk to somebody and they're like, we do search engine marketing, that's not SEO. It's kind of SEO in that it helps you run an ad and get into, get on the page, but it's not SEO in the fact that you're doing some of the tactics that I'm going to show you to rank organically. To do search engine marketing, which is basically Google Ads, they also call it pay-per-click or paying per click or PPC or paid advertising. Those all are descriptions of what search engine marketing is. You can set up a Google ad tomorrow, and if you have a budget and it's a decent budget, you can start running ads, and you'll be right on the front page at the top of Google as soon as you get the ad set up. Okay, so search engine marketing is a strategy where you're running ads, and there are some benefits and disadvantages to search engine marketing. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the benefits and advantages of search engine marketing, Google local SEO or the Google Maps section, and organic SEO. So when it comes to search engine marketing, the advantages are this. It's quick. Like if you need new patients and you need them tomorrow or soon, search engine marketing is a great option because like I say, you just have a budget, you set the ads up and you start running them tomorrow, and then you're there. You're in the search engine and people will start clicking on those ads. The other benefit is it's at the top of the page. So the reason that Google is a multi-billion-dollar company is because of this process. Being able to run ads at the top of the page is the way Google makes a significant portion of their money. And they put them right there, right at the top, because at the top, everybody's going to see it. Now they might skip past it, like most people do, but you're right there. Okay. It's also pretty profitable with high value services. Now, running ads, depending on where your practice is at, and depending on how much competition there is in your local area, it can get pretty expensive. I've seen costs per click be $15 to $30 per click. And every click doesn't mean you're getting a phone call, just a click to your website or to a landing page. So what you have to be careful about when you're going to do search engine marketing is that if you're going to run ads, you've got to run ads on services that are fairly high dollar services in order to make the whole process profitable. So full arch, dentures, implants, Invisalign or clear aligners, those types of services where you've got a decent profit margin, they're really good. They're actually pretty profitable when you do this. But I've run campaigns for teeth whitening, which gets a lot of search traffic, but there's not a ton of margin in that service. New patient specials, things like that. You're probably not going to be able to make enough money from the actual clicks to schedule appointments to pay for the ad cost. So what you'll find is that a lot of practices don't even run ads on that stuff. They're really looking at high value stuff. Matter of fact, if you go to any city in the country and you look at dental implant, you do searches for dental implants in whatever city, you're almost always going to find ads of companies, dental practices trying to attract patients for dental implants. So those are some of the reasons why you might want to do it. The disadvantage is that it's renting versus buying. You run the ads, you have your budget, and the budget's, most marketing companies that help dental practices run ads won't even play in the game unless you've got $1,000, $2,000 at least. So it's not like you're coming in with a few $100s. You have to have a significant budget in order to compete with the other practices that are out there. But the disadvantage is that as soon as you stop spending the money, you're out of the ad. You're out. Your ad's down, nobody finds you, and it's over. So you're really kind of just renting the space. Even though the space is at the top of the search engine, you're still renting it. There is an advantage to organizations that have larger budgets. So if you're an established practice, you're extremely profitable practice and you have larger marketing budgets, or if you're working with a venture capital company, maybe you're part of a group or a DSO and you've got some dollars behind you, it's tough for an independent practice that's potentially struggling to compete because they'll just bid you out of the ad platform.
Yeah, Adrian.
So, yeah.
Just an impression I have. So it's kind of like you're going to the high stakes table, right? Like you don't get to come in at the low ante type thing. And maybe I'm wrong, but it seems to me like in that ad section you're talking about, it seems to me like even if I search something as narrow as that, dental implants in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I still see stuff like just a large company, Aspen Dental pops up there, even if they're not there. So
in the area.
Yeah. And is that right? Is that you're really
matter of fact, I won't mention the companies, but there are marketing companies that basically run ads all the way across the country, run the ads to phone calls to a sales floor, and sell those patients to dental practices. I mean, that's what you're competing against. You're competing against professionals who have found a way in order to basically outperform somebody who's just not a player. you know, and I mean, your analogy of going to the high stakes table is a great analogy. If I walk into a high stakes poker game, I'm going to get my lunch eaten like real quick, right? Because I just don't know how to read cues and all that kind of stuff. And the ad platform is extremely complicated. Like when you go to set up the ad platform inside of Google Ads, I mean, the people that work for Google are like savants. Like these people like can't speak like normal sentences because they're thinking in algorithms. I mean, that's a joke, but I mean, it is so complicated. I've worked in the dental industry and marketing for 15 years and I get lost in the ad platform. So if you're going to do it, you should have a pro. You should get somebody who's been doing it for years, who's been through training. There's a whole training and certification process to become a certified, or I think it's certified Google Ads manager or something like that. It's pretty complicated. It works, but it is big dollars. It is big dollars. And I mean, I don't know, $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, that's big dollars to me. It may not be big dollars to a dentist that's got a larger budget. But like you say, there are Aspen Dental, you know, is going to run ads in every single city that's within 100 miles of a practice because they think that they can draw that patient to them, right? So it's a highly competitive area, especially with those high dollar services. So that's why I mentioned here, you should probably get a pro, work with somebody who can track it. I mean, the sophistication of going in and like looking at how well your ad for a particular phrase and the words that you're using and your call to action and the link that you use and the landing page and the information on the landing page. I mean, it gets really, really sophisticated. So it's just not, it's tough. It's tough. So I echo your thoughts on that. But it works, but it's expensive and it's kind of dangerous. You can blow through a few $1,000 before you know it and not see anything unless you know what you're doing. All right, moving down the page, moving down the SERP, you get to the Google Map. Now, the Google Map is what we call local SEO. And I'll explain why we call it local SEO here in a second and why that makes sense. The advantages of trying to rank higher in the Google Map is you're buying this spot. If you optimize your listing, which is what we're going to be talking about tonight, and you can start ranking in that section, it's tough for you to fall out. It's tough for you to get in, and it's tough for you to fall out. So if you can do some of the optimization, you get there and you start, you know, patients can find you at wider and wider radiuses, and you just get lots of calls. I mean, you can slowly dip out of that if you stop optimizing, but it takes a while, right? It takes a long time, months, rather than with search engine marketing where you can be in one day and out the next. So you're buying the position rather than renting. This section is trusted by the majority of patients. 2/3 to 3/4 of patients, this is where they go to make a decision when they're looking for a dentist. So if you're there, it's a big deal. If you're not, it's a big deal. It is low in terms of a cost. The tactics and the strategies to rank here, if you were to pay my company to help you rank here, it'd be a fraction of the cost to basically run ads, okay? Or if you want to do it yourself, you have somebody in your team that can take what I'm going to show you tonight and kind of build on it. It's a, you know, maybe 2 or 3 hours a week of time, maybe a few hours a month of time, and from your own employee, optimizing the listing and keeping you ranking higher. So there's a low comparative cost, even if you hire an agency like us to help you rank higher there. There's really no advantage to larger organizations with bigger budgets. I routinely run into big DSOs that don't know anything about how to optimize organically in the local SEO section. So, and there's really no advantage to an Aspen Dental over a local independent dental practice It's just who knows how to do the optimization and who doesn't. So you're kind of on a level playing field in this section. The disadvantage is it takes some time. If you need patience tomorrow, it ain't going to happen here. You have to spend a few months doing the optimization and sending the signals to Google to help you rank better. And I'll show you some examples of what I mean by that. But it takes a little bit of time. But once you've done it, and if you keep doing it, it'll pay off 100-fold in the long run. Below the map, you have what are called organic listings, or what we call organic SEO. Okay, these are your website listings. And the advantages in optimizing your website is similar to local SEO. It's buying versus renting. If you're ranking higher in the organic listings, it's tough for you to fall out. It's tough for you to get there. It's tough for you to fall out. Again, there's a low comparative cost to, say, search engine marketing. There's no advantage to organizations with larger budgets. It's just really who knows how to do it and who's doing it. The disadvantage, again, is it's time. It takes time to get your website to rank higher, and it is lower on the search engine results page. So it's the organic listings are below both of the other sections. They're below the ads, they're below the Google map, they're down at the bottom. And when you look at consumer studies of how they use a SERP or where their eyeballs go and where they click, they're usually clicking higher up on the page. The lower you're at on the page, the less eyeballs you get on your website listing. So it's just lower on the search engine page. Doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It's just that's the slight disadvantage over, say, local SEO and search engine marketing. So we've got all these different names, right? Local SEO, organic SEO, search engine marketing, and these are all aspects of SEO. So if somebody says we do SEO, the question is, are they doing search engine marketing? Because they might be saying, yeah, we do SEO, and then when you talk to them on the phone, they're just running ads, right? That's not officially what SEO is. It's search engine marketing. Or they might say they do SEO, but they only do organic SEO. They never even look at your Google business profile. And that helps your website rank, but it doesn't help your Google Maps listing rank specifically, okay? So what we're focusing on tonight is we're focusing on local SEO. How do you get the little pin in the map to rank higher and get phone calls from Google Maps? All right, so let's talk about how it works. Here is an example. This is actually a screenshot of where I live. I live in a house. Believe it or not, I live in a house, and there's a gnat trying to bug me right now. I live in a house in that circle down at the bottom. So this is Draper, Utah. It's south of Salt Lake City. Behind my house, so further down, is a mountain range, and there's a Lehigh and Alpine and some other areas, but they're kind of far back. So the four closest dental practices to my house are these four practices. Okay. So I'm sitting in my house on my computer, and I do a whole bunch of searches for dentist near me, dental clinic near me, and a whole bunch of near me searches. Okay. And you would think that because these four practices are, location wise, they are the closest practices. They're all about 4 to 4.5 miles from my house. Okay. You would think that they would show up for me when I do a search, especially when I'm searching near me, because they are actually the ones that are closest to me. So here are the 8 searches that I did. And what I did is I just took a screenshot of the Google Maps section and put them all together on the screen. So there's 8 searches. I don't know if you can see the words there, but the first one is dental cleaning near me, dental clinic near me, best dentist near me, dentist near me, dental implants near me, family dentist, emergency dentist, and dental crowns. And I could have kept doing this, but I did these 8, okay? Now, when you look at all the results here, I was looking for those 4 practices, the ones that were near me. And there's only one of them listed one time. So these are all the practices on the front page of Google. Now, if you've think about when you deal with Google search and you look at that maps section, there's only 3 listings. You can run an ad. So you see some of these have an ad at the top. You can run an ad, but then there's 3 listings. If you're the 4th listing, you're not on the front page. And about almost everybody that goes to this section interacts or engages with these 3 listings. So if you're hoping to get a phone call from Google Maps or a click to your website and you're the 4th listing, you're missing out on almost all the traffic. You have to be one of the top 3 listings so that you're on that front page. Consumers just make decisions super, super quick, especially when we're talking about discovery searches, and they don't do much more investigation. They're thinking that these top 3 listings, because there's a subjective or I guess a subjective value to being listed on the front page. People assume that these are the 3 best practices, whatever that means. Okay. Think about your own process when you go and search and you see the top 3 listings. You don't think, oh, Google's giving me the worst 3 listings. You're thinking Google has filtered somehow and given me the top 3 listings that they think are the most qualified or authoritative in their area. So if you're the 4th listing, you're frankly shit out of luck. Were you gonna say something, John?
Yeah, I think, and I know interestingly from first presentation that what I found fascinating was you said like all the money that people are spending to get up in that very top ad section and stuff that we kind of don't want to talk about tonight, that actually most of us mentally kind of think, well, those are just, that was purchased. So I'm going to
Yeah.
and get to this section. So everyone already kind of values this section even more than the ad section anyway. This is the prime real estate.
Yeah, you're right. Dead on. So as I'm looking, thank you, John. As I'm looking at all this, I'm like, why are they not listing those 4 practices that are actually near me? And what I find that there's a practice that's showing up more than anybody else. This practice called Draper Parkway Dental, and showed up 4 out of the 8 times, more than anybody else. Well, Draper Parkway Dental is 7.5 miles from my practice. So think about what's happening here. I'm a consumer, I'm a potential patient looking for a practice near me. Google's not showing me the practices near me. They're showing me somebody else that's further away. And you would think that's kind of like a raw deal, and it is. But the reality of it is this is why you have to optimize your listing. If you optimize your listing, you actually will be found by patients searching further away than practices that are actually closer to them. Kind of freaky, weird, huh? Right? It's just Google's algorithm is structured in a way where the location is valuable, the distance from you to the patient where they're searching from is valuable, but it's not the only thing that they're looking at. They're looking at a lot of other things. So Draper Parkway Dental has done a ton of optimization. That's why they're showing up more often for me than somebody else. Okay. Let me show you further how this works. Here's an example of a practice in Raleigh, North Carolina. This is VP Dental. They're north of Raleigh, maybe 10 or 15 miles. Okay. And what I did is,
Hey, Adrian,
yeah,
hey, listen.
Yeah.
How do you know it's not related to the fact that your zip code is in Draper? And it just says, well, this dude lives in Draper and this practice is called Draper. So that's the closest practice as opposed to the 4 that are very close to your house.
okay. So that's a really good, that's a really good question. So to that point, I did a whole other set of searches that I'm not showing tonight, where I searched dentist, best dentist in Draper, dental implants in Draper. So I used a geographical phrase rather than near me. Okay. So I did a whole set of those as well. And when I included the geographical phrase in the search, that particular practice showed up on every single one of them. Okay. Because, and one of the reasons for that is because Draper is in the name of the practice, and that practice is actually located close to the center of Draper. Okay. But to your point, what I found is that when you do the near me searches, even though, so I'm in Draper, my zip code 84020, all of these practices have the same zip code. Okay. So the zip code didn't have a ton of relevance to it on the near me searches. On the geographical searches, it did have a huge impact. So, but what I found is that when you do near me searches, Google, they may take into consideration the location of the practice. This is getting super technical, but I think you'll follow me on it. So that practice is located closer to the center point of what Google considers the center of Draper. Okay, the location, like there's like there's like 100 and it's like Pioneer Road and 13th East, and these guys are like 100 yards or 250 yards away, so they're really close to the center. So that may have an effect on the near me searches, but there's other practices in that location that didn't show up. Okay, so for example, there's like 2 or 3 other practices that are right there, all right next to each other, and they're all like right close to the center of Draper, and those practices were not showing up for the near me searches. So that led me to believe that when you do near me searches, or searches where you're not indicating a geographical, there's not a geographical phrase in the search, that it didn't have as big of an impact as what you might be thinking. But when you do a geographical search, absolutely, because Google will take the latitude and the longitude of the center of Draper, and I can show you how you find that on Google, but they'll take that geographical phrase and they'll look at practices that are closest to that latitude and longitude, and that has an effect. I found that consistent across the board. I don't think it has as strong of an impact on the near me searches or non-geographical phrases. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
That's a really good question though. It gets into like pretty sophisticated. It's like you don't figure that stuff out unless you're really thinking about this stuff. So anyway, if that answers your question, I'll move on. We good?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So VP Dental is about 15 miles north of Raleigh. And what you have to think about when you think about these results is that it's not where your practice is located as much as where the person is searching from. So when you do a search from your mobile phone, if you're driving around in your car, or if you do a search from your desktop computer, Google's looking at where your internet connection is on your computer, and they're also looking at the GPS connection on your mobile phone in order to provide results in the map. So they're looking at where the patient is searching from, and they're providing results to the patient, not necessarily where the practice is located. So I'll give you an example. I talked to a doctor a few weeks ago, and we're talking about this, right? And he's like, I don't need SEO. I'm already ranking #1 for everything. Well, the doctor is searching from inside of his practice. So he's searching dentist near me, and he's on his computer in his practice. He better show up #1 because he's literally in the practice, right? So you have to think about, well, what is your patient seeing? Because your patient's not going to see that. If they're in your practice, they're not searching for you anymore. You have to look at what's on their screen, their phone or their desktop, where they're searching from around your practice. Okay, so that if you shift the thought process from that, all of a sudden you get a different perspective on how this whole thing works. So let's not get confused. This is the way that you can understand where you're being found. So I did a search for dentist near me for VP Dental, okay? And we did a search about 1.5 miles north where this lady's standing, this picture of her. And from that location, if you search dentist near me and then you look at her phone, VP Dental's number 2. They're on the main page, they're on the front page. But if you go 1.5 miles southeast where this guy's at, and you do the same search, they're 13th. So why is it that they're not ranking in the same position if we're the same distance from the practice? And the reason is it's never a radius. You never rank in a radius around your practice, because Google's taking into consideration the population density and the competition in the area. They look at how you've optimized your listing. There's a whole bunch of things that they look at. So the only way to really know where you're being found is if you were to get your phone out and drive around town and do searches for dentist near me or dental implants near me and see if you're listed in the map, right? Or count down. That's the only way to do it. Nobody's going to do that. It's stupid. So there's a tool that we use, and we call this heat mapping. And basically what we can do is we can tell Google we're standing at this location and I'm searching this phrase, where does this practice show up? Okay. So for dentists near me, for VP Dental, this is their heat map. Now their practice is located directly under the number 2 in the center. Okay. So if I'm standing on the street outside of their practice and I pull my phone out and I search dentist near me, they're number 2. And then the next dot over, or the dots around it, are all 1/2 mile away. We go 1/2 mile north, 1/2 mile east, south, and west. Okay. So this map is about 3.5 miles wide and vertical, but it's about maybe 4 miles at the corners. Okay. So you can see if you're standing in their location and you search dentist near me, they're number 2. And then you go 1/2 mile to the east, then they're number 3. You go another 1/2 mile, now they're 10. So nobody's finding them on the front page 1 mile to the east. Same thing kind of goes to the north. You go 1/2 mile north, they're 3rd. You go another 1/2 mile, they're 5th. Okay. Now you'll notice that the map is like they rank, even though they're not on the front page north of them, they still rank they rank somewhat better north and kind of like northeast. And that's because there's very little population that direction. If you go south, you're going to hit Raleigh. And so there's more dentists, there's more competition. So you can see it, they get pushed out of the rankings really quick going to the south and the southwest, which is where the population center is at. So, and the little white X's with the red dots, that just means that they're not in the top 20 listings. We just stopped counting after 20. So all those red X's, they're 20 or more deep in the listing. Okay. So if you were to run this heat map for your practice, you could kind of look and go, oh, I'm not being found in that neighborhood, and that's a new neighborhood, and it's a wealthy neighborhood. I want to rank there, and I'm not. You could get that information, and you could make some decisions about that. Now, each keyword. So this is for dentist near me. You'd get the same map or something really, really close to it if you search dentist. Okay, because dentist near me and dentist are closely related in terms of keywords. But if you ran it for a different keyword, you get a totally different map. So this is their map for cosmetic dentist, and they're ranking everywhere for cosmetic dentist. They're ranking really, really well, right? I mean, they're probably ranking miles away for cosmetic dentist. It's gone beyond the map. We're talking about the top 3 listings. They get pushed out a little bit in the south west and a little bit to the west where you start hitting some 4s. But basically anybody in that area that searches cosmetic dentist is going to find them. Now the reason for that is because this is the key word that they wanted to go after. They've moved out of network. They were an established practice. They didn't need lots of any new patient. They wanted valuable patients. And so they stopped optimizing for dentists and focused all their energy on cosmetic dentist. But what this tells you, though, is that this is the opportunity. If you focused on a particular keyword or service, you can rank well, and you may not rank well for other keywords. Okay, so it depends on what your strategy is, the type of practice that you are, where you're at in your growth, the type of patients that you're going after. But you can decide, oh, I just need more new patients. And if it's just more new patients, you want to rank for dentist, best dentist, family dentist, things like that. Okay, but if you're an established practice or you're a specialty practice, you want to like hone in on specific services. So let me show you another example of kind of what happens when you start doing optimization. So for VP Dental, this is the keyword family dentist, okay? And I'm showing you this to give you an idea how long it takes. This is not like overnight kind of thing, but it does work. So on day 1, we ran a heat map for family dentist. They weren't ranking anywhere. That's on the left, okay? They're 20 deep everywhere. If I'm standing outside of their practice and I search family dentist, they don't show up, okay? After 6 months, you can see that they're starting to rank about a half a mile around the practice, okay? They're underneath that 4 in the center graph there, the center heat map. They're underneath that number 4 right in the middle. And you can see kind of to the north and to the east, east, they're starting to rank on the front page. About after another 6 months, you can see they're ranking for about a half a mile to a mile around their practice, okay? And that's not as good as the cosmetic dentist map, obviously, because they were ranking everywhere, but there's still value to this. We tracked this, and for this particular keyword, they were getting about 5 to 10 new patients a month who were searching family dentist or keywords related to family dentist. So if you think about it, if you think about like doing this, if you weren't ranking for 5 keywords, could be anything, dentist, cosmetic dentist, Invisalign, whatever it might be, and you could get yourself ranking and you're in a population that's kind of similar to Raleigh, outside of Raleigh or an area like this, we're talking about 20, 30, 40, 50 new patients a month. That's how many people are using Google Maps in order to make a decision. So that's where this optimization becomes like super valuable, right? If you're pulling in 25 to 50 more new patients a month, that's a big deal, right? That's a really, really big deal. We're talking about hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars coming into the practice annually, right? Depending on, what your services are and whatnot. So the goal here is to identify, number one, where you're ranking and for which keywords you're ranking for, and then go, oh, okay, I'm not ranking for these keywords. I do want to. Now, what do I do next? Okay. So the first step of this is to run some of these heat maps. I'll run them for you. If you QR code that, it'll take you to a form. It'll just give me some basic information on who you guys are and the keywords you want me to run them for. So in the form, I think you can only put 2 keywords in, but I'll run more keywords. So if you fill the form out, I'll call you, or I'll have Liam or a couple people on my team call you. We'll find out which keywords you want to run it for. We'll run the reports and send them to you. And then we can even do a little bit of an investigation to maybe give you some ideas on how to optimize. If you guys want to start your optimization and you want to train somebody in your team, I've got a ton of like training in video training like this one we're doing tonight, and blogs and all sorts of stuff that I can send you. If you want help, we can help you, okay? But the first thing you need to do is you need to run the reports. You got to find out what you're already ranking for and what you're not ranking for, and in what neighborhoods you're not ranking for, okay? So that's the first thing. All right, now let's talk about how to do it, okay? So we're going to go into a little bit of a workshop here. You can use your cell phones, okay? I'm going to be using some cell phone examples through all this, but these are I'm probably gonna get through 4 or 5 of the steps. There's quite a few steps, and I've got some additional training that I'm gonna send to John that goes through a lot more. But for our presentation tonight, we've got, let's see, we started at 7. I've got about another half an hour. I'll probably get through maybe 4 of these or so, okay? and I'll send you guys some additional resources and videos. So if you've got somebody in your team that you want to hand this off to, I'll give them plenty of stuff to work on. Okay. All right. So the first thing you want to do is you want to check.
Adrian,
Yeah.
I have a quick question again. It's me.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the difference? Because honestly, I never use Google Maps to search anything versus I use Google. So can you just tell me briefly what's the difference there?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Let me go back here. Let me go back to the SERP. Okay, let me get to right. Let's see. I'll use this as the example. Okay, so if you go to your desktop, or if you're on your phone and you just pull up Chrome, right? And you search dental implants in Cincinnati, Ohio, which is a discovery search phrase. What Google presents to you is a mixed match of all of the ways that a practice can show up. So on a desktop on Chrome, so just searching directly into Google, or on your phone directly into Google, what you're going to get is you're going to get ads at the top, the search engine marketing ads, and then you're going to get the Google Maps section. Now the Google Maps and then you're going to get the organic listings down below. So when you do a search on Google, not in Google Maps, just in Google, what Google's doing is they're pulling the Google Maps results into the search result. So if I were to go into Google Maps and do the same search, what I'm looking at then is really just this section. I'm not getting the search engine marketing ads, the Google ads, the Google pay-per-click ads, and I'm not getting the organic results. I'm just getting the Google Maps stuff. So that's the difference between searching Google search versus Google Maps. So Google Maps is just this section. Does that make sense? So you're not going to get pay-per-click ads.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay. Yeah, you're not going to get pay-per-click ads, and you're not going to get organic listings in Google Maps, but you will in search.
But just curious, what's the marketing research show for what most consumers do? Will they use Google?
Well, yeah. So I don't know the statistic on how many people search Google search versus Google Maps. I don't know that number, but I think it's pretty high that people just search Google Maps, especially when they're looking for a local business.
Okay.
I think that I remember reading some statistics a few years ago that was over 50%. So I'm pretty sure it's higher than that. I'm actually like you. When I'm looking for a local business, I don't go to regular search. I go straight to Maps. That's what I use. So, but what you have to realize is that the Google Maps section in search and the Google Maps app, it's the same information. It's just only providing you the Google Maps section when you're in Google Maps.
Got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good question. Yeah, good question. Let me go back here. All right. Okay, so. All right, so 1, check the access and ownership of your practice listing. The way you do that is you use Google Maps, just like this gentleman has asked. I'm sorry I didn't catch your name, but Google Maps is the one on the left, not the one on the right. The one on the right is Apple Maps. And you'd be amazed at how many people get these two things confused. So you have to have the Google Maps app on your phone. Now, if you have an Android phone, it's already on your phone. When you buy the phone, it's downloaded. If you have an Apple phone, you have to download Google Maps, but you're looking for the single pin that looks like that. That's the icon, okay? So you have to have the app on your phone. Once you have the app on your phone, you open it up and you search the name of your practice. So this is what it looks like on my phone when I searched for my company, My Social Practice, okay? And what you're looking for is you're looking to see if you can edit the listing, okay? And the only way you can do that is if you're logged into a Google account on your phone that is an owner or a manager of the listing. So if you've ever like had to log into your Google account on your phone, that's the process. You got to be logged into some Google account. Your Google account is like, you know, your email, your Google email. Mine's Adrian at My Social Practice. That's my Google email. Well, that's a Google account. If that the email is just the identifier for the account. I need to be logged into that account on my phone in order for me to edit my company's listing, because that's the account that's the owner of the listing. The way you know if you're logged in to an account that manages the listing is if you see this little check mark that says you manage this business profile. If you don't see that, you're not logged into a Google account, or you're not logged into the correct Google account. This is the toughest step, because everybody forgets which Google account is the primary owner or manager of your listing. So let me show you some of the typical problems that you run into, okay? Or how to figure it out. So if you guys pull your phones out and you pull up Google Maps and you search the name of your practice and you don't see this, you manage this business profile. There's also sometimes it's just says edit. There's a little edit button, or it says you can edit this listing. It does not always a little blue check mark, but if you see edit, then you're okay. But if you don't see that, you're not logged in. And this is how you figure out which Google account is the owner of the listing. Go onto a desktop computer and search, and you need to do this on a desktop. You can't do it on your phone. Search the name of your practice. So this practice is called Sugar House Dentist. So I searched it. And like I showed you before, when you do a direct search, on the right-hand side, there's the knowledge graph, okay? There should be a link in that knowledge graph that says own this business ? And if you click on that, you'll see up comes a page that says someone else may manage this business profile. The Sugar House Dentist is currently managed by, and it gives you a partial email address. That partial email address is the primary owner of the listing. So that's the Google account that you, if you don't know which one is, that's the primary owner. And if you recognize that email address, you just got to log into that Google account on your phone, and then you can manage your listing. If you don't recognize this, then we're going to have to get access to it. Or maybe it's an old email. Like maybe it's like an email that you had 20 years ago when you started your practice, and you dumped it and you're not doing anything with it and you don't have access to it anymore, okay? Or maybe it's an old employee or old marketing company you used to work with. If you don't recognize the email address, you click the request access button. And what Google will do is send a notification to that email address saying, so-and-so would like access to their listing. And if that person does not respond, they'll wait like 5 days. They'll send you a follow-up email and say, we're going to give you access to the listing. And then you go through a verification process and you can capture it, okay? So they make sure that just not anybody can come here and get access. You actually, if you request access, they send the email, that person doesn't respond, then Google sends like a PIN code to you, or they'll call the practice and give you a PIN code, and then you can come in here and you can get access to it and claim it, okay? But this is the easiest way to figure out who owns the listing and to get access to it again, okay? Now, if there's anybody on the call that's stuck because you can't figure it out, right? Like you don't know the email address, maybe, I don't know, you're stuck. Chat into the screen here, the name of your practice, and let's go look at it and we'll see if we can figure it out. Just give me your practice name and your website address, and we can do it. And John, if anybody chats that in, just stop me and I'll jump out here and we'll go figure it out, okay?
Got it.
If you guys don't want to do that right now, but you need some help later on, I want you to email me. I'll give you my email address and we'll go. I'll help you out later on. Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Are we all good?
We're good. Thank you.
Okay. All right, you're welcome. All right, now, here's another thing that you might run into. So you might be just simply logged into the wrong Google account. So on your phone, you can be logged into multiple Google accounts, and you might just be in the account that's not the owner. So the way you figure that out is open up Google Maps, delete anything in that search here section. So don't have your practice name in there. And then over on the right-hand side, you'll see a picture. It might be a picture of you, or it might be like a letter, like the first letter of your first name or something like that. If you click on that, it'll take you to a page where it'll show you all the Google accounts that you're logged into. So in this graphic, I'm logged into 4 accounts. I'm logged into My Social Practices account. That's my Adrian at the top one. Then I have my personal email. Then I have my wife's email. And then I have another My Social Practice account. So I'm actually logged into 4 accounts, but I'm active in my Social Practice account. So you can just toggle, you can just click on the one, it'll just swap it for you. If you don't see anything there, but you do know the account that you want to log into, you can just hit add another account and log in. And that way you can get to the place where you can edit. And we got to get to the place where you can edit. That's the key. Okay. So it's a good thing if you get stuck, John's recording this, because you can walk back through this and then kind of like, figure it out. Okay. But if you ever get stuck and it doesn't make sense, or you see something that I haven't explained, you shoot me an email or shoot John an email and I'll help you out. Okay. Here's my email, adrian@mysocialpractice.com. Okay. All right. So that's number 1. You got to figure out how to get access to your account. Who's the owner? Are you the owner? And you got to be able to log into it. Number 2 is you want to claim your practitioner listings. Now, your practitioner listing is, I have yet to run into a doctor who knows what this is. There's very few marketing companies that even know what this is. Okay. So in Google's policies about Google business profiles and these listings, what they recommend is that you have a listing for your practice and a listing for each doctor. Okay. And the reason that they prefer that is because when consumers search for medical practices, they'll search the practice name or they'll search the doctor's name. And so if you have a listing in the business database for the practice and a listing for the doctor, it's easier for Google to provide that consumer with the answer, right? To give them exactly what they're looking for. So what Google has done is they actually create practitioner listings automatically. You don't have to create them. They just create them for you, and they're out there floating around, and you got to go claim them. So I've run into practices where they've had doctors who have left the practice. They're in the name, they've got a practitioner floating around there, and they're still listed as having worked at that practice. Sometimes you have multiple practitioner listings. So what you want to do is you want to do kind of the same thing that you do with your practice listing. You open up Google Maps, you search your name, and see if you can find a listing that's listed under your name. You might find more than one. You might not find any, okay? But you may find something, okay? If you don't find one, usually what's happened is somewhere in the past, your practitioner listing was probably merged into your practice listing. I know that there's a lot of marketing companies that suggest this because it's easier to manage if you just have one practice listing for a location or for a practice. But it's actually disadvantageous to do that. It's better to have practice listings and practitioner listings, and I'll explain why as we get a little further here. But you're going to basically search your name. You're going to find your listing and go through the same process. You're looking to see if you can claim that listing and be able to edit and optimize it. Okay. So practitioner listings are not, and I spelled that wrong. nor, that's dumb. I'll have to change that. Practitioner listings are not considered duplicate listings. A lot of people kind of think that, but they're not. Google actually creates them for you, and they're out there floating around. And Google will not remove them or merge them into anything unless you do it, unless you go through the process of merging. You can actually combine these listings together if you want. I'm going to suggest that you don't do that, though, in this training, okay? So here's why you don't want to do it. This is me sitting in my house, and I search the word dentist. So I don't use a geographical phrase. I don't use you near me. I just search dentist, okay? And Google is going to provide to me a whole bunch of results. And I've clicked into the Google Maps section, so I'm seeing all the listings. But the listings that I've circled here are practitioner listings. They're not practice listings. I went and checked them out. So the third listing is a practitioner listing. The fifth listing is a practitioner listing. If you keep going down, that's about the ninth listing, Tullis. That's a practitioner listing. The 11th listing, Matthew Smile Dental, that's a practitioner listing. Like 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, they're all practitioner listings. So these are showing up in search. They're out there. They actually compete with the practice listings. And so when you think about this, the idea is like, okay, wait a minute. So what you're telling me is that I can have my practice listing show up in search, but I can also have my practitioner listing show up in search. Well, why not? Right? Why not have two listings? Or if you got multiple doctors in your office, if you got, say, 3 doctors in your office, you should have 4 listings, one for the practice and one for each practitioner. And now you just have more potential opportunities to be found. And I'll show you some ways to be found with different listings. Okay. So that's why you want to do it. Why limit yourself to one listing? The other issue is that when you start optimizing these listings, you can really only get one listing to rank for a few keywords. You can't get one listing to rank extremely well for all the dental keywords. So my recommendation is going to be get your practitioner listings claimed and then optimize those for keywords that your practice listing isn't ranking for. So if you're ranking well for cosmetic dentist on your practice listing, but you're not ranking well for dental implants, optimize your practice listing or your practitioner listing for dental implants. Okay. So you basically have two opportunities to show up, and they're showing up for different keywords. So here's how you do it. Again, same process. Go to Google, search your name. You'll see if you have a practitioner listing, it'll show up as a knowledge graph on the right. You'll click on Own This Business. And if you haven't claimed it, it'll say this, manage this business to respond to reviews, update information, and so on and so forth. Now, there's a little, or it might already be claimed, and then you'll see a partial email address, kind of like before, and you can figure out, oh, okay, that's the email, and I can go edit it with that email address. But if not, if it hasn't been claimed, it's going to say Manage Now. If you click Manage Now, it'll call the office, it'll give you a PIN code, and then you can capture it, and you can start optimizing it, okay? Same process as before. Do a direct search for your name, see if you've got a listing. If you don't have a listing, you need to set one up. That's my recommendation. And it's really, really easy to set up. I don't talk about how to do it here, but if you just search on Google, set up Google Business Profile, there's a wizard that'll walk you through it. It's really easy. Okay. But I would suggest you set it up for your under your name. All right. So once you've got it, you can edit it. Now, here's the strategy. You're going to optimize both your listings, but for different sets of keywords. And here's why you'd want to do it. This is an example. So this is Clement Kakish is the doctor's name. He's an oral surgeon. He also does plastic surgeries in San Diego. And on the left, you have his practice listing. And on the right, you have his practitioner listing. And those are different names, right? The practice is the name of his practice. That's the name of his practice. And then Clement Kakish is his personal name. Now, what I've done is I've done a heat map for the same keyword for both these listings, okay? So on the left, it's telling me that the search phrase oral surgeon, his practice listing doesn't rank at all for that. He's not ranking anywhere. But his practitioner listing is. And it's actually ranking really well, especially in San Diego, where he's at, right? For oral surgeons. So what's happening here is, think about this. We've got two listings. They're in the same location, but they're two listings. You're searching different keywords, and the practice doesn't show up, but the practitioner listing does. And here's the reason why, or one of the reasons why. His practice listing is the primary category, which is like the main way to indicate what you want to rank for, is surgical center, because he does a lot of surgery stuff, plastic surgery and oral surgery. So that's the way so if I were to search like plastic surgery or surgeon or a word relatable to surgical center, his practice listing probably ranks pretty well. But it doesn't rank well for oral surgeon. Now, whereas his primary category, his primary category on his practitioner listing is oral surgeon. So if I search oral surgeon, it ranks really, really well. So what you've got here is you've got an opportunity where you can rank for multiple keywords, and you get more you just get more eyeballs on you, right? Here's another example. Lakeside Dental, this is Dr. Drain in New Jersey. On the left, we've got cosmetic dentist. On the right, we've got the heat map for dentist. He's ranking better for cosmetic dentist because that's his primary category. Dentist is his secondary category. So this primary category, secondary category thing is like really a pretty has a lot of magnitude on what you rank for. So we'll talk about categories here in a second, but when you're making a decision about the types of services you want to rank for and the type of patients you want to attract, you want to like make sure that you get this category thing dialed in, because it does have a pretty heavy effect on it. Here's another example. Island Dental. This doctor's in New Jersey as well. On the left, and he's actually out there on the point. So he's out there in the water almost. So he's ranking really, really well if you're in a boat, which is kind of dumb, but anyway. Left is dental clinic. That's the phrase. On the right, it's dentist. His main category is dental clinic. His primary category is dental clinic. And this is something you don't want to do. The reason you don't want to have your primary category be dental clinic is because who searches dental clinic? Like, it's probably 100 to 1 people search dentist, best dentist, rather than dental clinic. So he had his listing set up with this dental clinic as the primary category, and he's ranking well, but nobody's searching it. So that's the other thing I think about, like the actual phrase that you're ranking for. You may rank really, really well, but how much search volume is it getting? That's another aspect of this, making a decision about this. So dental clinic is not a category you want to use. And I'll show you the categories here in a second that you can choose from. So here's how you change your category. So you open up Google Maps on your phone. You got to be logged into a Google account that you can edit. And you just click this edit profile button. It's right just down the page a little bit. When you click on that, you click on business information. And then that takes you to a page where you have your business category. And there's a little pencil there that allows you to edit it. So this is my listing for my social practice. And we're a marketing agency. We're not a dental practice, and we don't have a local presence. We work with practices all over the North America. So I've got 4 categories in here. Marketing agency is my primary category. Then I have website designer as a secondary, advertising agency is a third, and marketing consultant is the fourth. So I have 4 categories total, but the primary category is the most important. For a dental practice, my recommendation is 2, no more than 3. I used to, when I first started optimizing these, I would put all the categories in, like 10 or 15 of them, thinking that you just put more categories in, you're going to rank for more keywords. And that's the opposite thing happened. It actually detracted from the primary category. So you want to narrow your categories in order to rank better for those keywords rather than expand it and try and rank for everything. That's another reason why you should have a practitioner listing and a practice listing, because you can narrow the categories on each one of these listings and get those listings to rank well for a reduced number of keywords. Okay. Here are the categories for dentistry. So when you're choosing these, you don't get to just write it in. You have to choose from the categories that Google provides. So the first column and second column, and maybe dental implants, periodontist, the top one on the third column, are the ones you're choosing from. You're not going to do insurance, labs, schools, radiology, or supply on that last column. So here's how I would do it. For your practice listing, if I wanted to focus on just getting more new patients, I would make my primary category dentist if I'm a GP. Okay. And then maybe put in cosmetic dentist or emergency dental service as my secondary and third categories. They put emergency dental service in there specifically for patients who are looking for an emergency dentist. So if you want to provide emergency dental services because you want to attract that type of a patient, then you definitely want to use emergency dental service as one of your categories. And then for your practitioner listing, because maybe you do dental implants, you put dental implants provider in there as your practitioner listing, as your main category. If you're a prosthodontist, you probably, or if you're a specialist, an endodontist or prosthodontist, you want to use that as your primary category. But if you're a GP and you're offering dental implants and all these other services, you want to try and like limit the number of keywords you're ranking for on your practice listing, and then optimize your practitioner listing for another keyword. Here's another way you might want to do it. Dentist, dental implants provider. So two categories, dentist first, dental implants provider second. And then for your practitioner listing, do cosmetic dentist and emergency dental service. Okay. So the goal here is we're getting 2 listings. They're ranking for different keywords in order to capture as much opportunity as possible. Okay. All right. So to do this though, remember that I can run the heat maps on your practice listing. I can also run them on your practitioner listing. Now your practitioner listings, unless you've done some optimization, they're probably not ranking for a ton of stuff, but I can still run the reports. So what you do is you'd run a bunch of heat maps on your practice listing. The ones that you're doing well with, you might want to keep. But the services that you're not doing well with on your practices, you might want to move to your practitioner listing. That would be a strategy. Okay. All right. Are we done? Is this an hour and a half? Holy cow. That went fast.
Okay. Fast.
Do we have any questions?
Adrian, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So have you heard of, so if I have dental practices, specialty dental practices, and I set them up under their name, right?
Okay.
Have you heard of setting up, going into the business, once you've claimed the business, then you go in and you add the doctor is an actual location. Have you heard of doing it that way?
So no, I don't know what you mean by that. What do you mean by setting the doctor up as an actual location?
So I had someone teach me, and I'm curious to see if it hurts or helps, but what you would do is you would set up your business account, you would claim your business account, right?
Okay.
And then say we had 3, I'm going to use Red Mountain Endodontics for an example. We have three locations. Okay.
Okay.
Well, my understanding is you can go in and add another location, but instead of adding an actual location, you can add, say, Dr. And I don't know if it's better to use their name, with doctor or not, like Stephen L. Frost, okay? And then his credentialing. And then either comma Red Mountain, and you would do that for all of your doctors. That way, if anyone does a review, a Google review, apparently from my understanding, it's then supposed to, if somebody goes in and searches Dr. Steve Frost, what happens now is that it ties to Red Mountain automatically for those Google.
Oh, okay. So,
Am I making sense?
yeah, I understand what you're saying. So I think what you're trying to describe is basically, so what happens is, I think this is what you're saying. You have a practice listing, 3 practice listings, 1 for each location.
Correct.
Okay. Red Mountain Dental, city, town, whatever the name of the practice, right?
Right.
And then at each practice, you have multiple doctors.
Correct.
So what you would do is you would set up, I think what you're saying is you're setting up a practitioner listing and then you're merging it into the practice listing. I think that's what you're saying. And
Well,
what happens, so go ahead.
yeah, no, well, I think that that's the way it should be done, but I was told you don't, not necessarily set up a practitioner listing, you just go under and hit edit or add location. And then you enter the doctor's name and then it automatically ties it to Red Mountain. Have you heard of that? I don't know.
I haven't heard of that. So inside of the Google Business Profile,
Uh-huh.
if there's a way to add location and then you just put the doctor's name in, I don't know where that's at. Do you know where that's at? Have you found it?
I think you actually add it as a location, they're saying. That you actually add it in as a location. And then it was recommended, put like Dr. Stephen Frost, credentialing, comma, Red Mountain Endodontics. That way, if anyone ever wrote a review for him, it automatically ties to Red Mountain. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Well, I understand. I understand what you're trying to do in terms of like pulling all the reviews into one practice list.
Yes.
Have
you heard of that or know anything about it? Like, I'm just trying to figure out if that is even.
No, I don't know. I'm not familiar with that, but I'm going to check it out tomorrow. I'm going to look it up and see if there's a way to do it.
I'll email you.
Yeah. Yeah. If you have like an article on that, or if you can remember who told you that, I would love to look at it because I've never seen it might be, I know you can do it in Facebook. You can do that you can do exactly what you're talking about in Facebook.
Right.
But I haven't seen that you can do it in a Google Business Profile. So
I'm just curious because it would be, to me, it would be pretty cool if we could do it that way. Because then all you're doing is going into your business page and then essentially just adding each doctor as a location, right?
Yeah.
Instead of creating multiple profiles and having to claim them. Anyway,
it makes it easier to manage. The only problem, the only thing you miss out on is getting those practitioner listings to rank for keywords that your practice listing isn't ranking. That's the only thing you miss out on. I actually had this question or a question similar to this about reviews. Like there's a big concern about, I mean, reviews are a big freaking deal. Like if you've got a lot of reviews, you get a lot of business. It's just simple. So most doctors, most practices want to get as many reviews on their practice listing as possible, which makes total sense. And what I'm suggesting by setting up a practitioner listing, what it means is that you may end up getting some reviews on the practitioner listing that could have gone to the practice listing.
Right.
And my argument is that if you get 20 or 30 reviews on the practitioner listing that might have been on the practice listing, the long-term benefit of ranking that practitioner listing for other keywords is going to be more valuable than the few reviews that you might have got on the practice listing.
Right.
And so that's a cost benefit analysis, if you want to say that. But I would say pretty confidently that if I were the doctor, if I were you and I was working in the practice, I would do it the way that I'm suggesting because long term, you just get so much more value out of the search volume that's going to come from it. So what I'm showing you guys is like a freaking pain in the ass to manage this stuff. It's like there's so much. There's so much. It's like it's hard to even run a company to manage this stuff. You know what I mean? So I totally understand wanting to like limit the confusion.
Yeah.
So it's
but it's super important, and I can't stress it enough to any any doctor I'm talking to is this is so important.
It's such a big deal.
Well,
I have said, sorry, John, I know you want to say something. Let me say one more thing. Like
Yeah, sure.
Google reviews are like, they have an effect, not just on how you rank, right? And not just on getting phone calls from Google Maps. They have an effect on your entire marketing campaign. Anything you're doing, referrals, right? A
Agreed.
dental practice gets a referral. How many of those patients go check the reviews before they call you? Like, definitely more than half, right?
Oh,
So it's like, if you have a shit review profile and you're spending $30,000 a month on advertising, you might want to cut your budget and get your review profile dialed in, because the review profile will either improve or undermine all of their marketing that you're doing, because so many people put social proof value in your review profile. So it's a big freaking deal. Yeah. I love your questions and thoughts. So thank you.
We have another question for you.
Oh, good.
Because I've been approached and I've understood or been led to believe that Bing is the second coming of Christ at a lot less cost. What are your thoughts on that?
Wait. Are you, is this John? Is this Paul, my uncle, talking about the second coming? Said that? I have an uncle who's convinced that the second coming is about to happen. Say that again. I didn't hear everything you said.
Well, Bing is a search engine versus Google. You're gonna really get a lot more bang for your buck, because Bing is really promoting itself to Microsoft, and it's gonna be the best search engine.
Okay. Yeah. So Bing controls about 2 or 3% of the entire search volume, where Google controls about 92%. So you can rank well in Bing.
It's not the second coming.
It's not the second coming, but have a gun ready just in case. You never
Adrian,
know.
I've got mine. I've got mine.
Let's not go religious, people. I'm in Utah. You know my family? You don't know my family. They're crazy. Crazy people.
Oh, gosh. Thank you for all
You're so welcome.
got us.
Good, yeah.
Super good.
Okay,
Any more?
I will make sure to send John all the stuff by tomorrow. Some additional videos, some articles. I'll send a link to this heat map. If you guys have any questions, shoot me an email. Okay?
Yeah,
You good?
lots to do here, and we, like I said, we're not close. I'm not close enough. Adrian's not close enough to each of you to know how far along you are in any of your social media or maps. So hopefully there's been some things you can pick up here, or if you're starting from scratch, if someone gives you your email address and you thought they sounded smart, it's probably a good idea to go ahead and use it and send in to Adrian that you want to maybe connect. And like I said, they're really good at maybe offering services that you need, or to help you get on the right track, or get you down the road so someone can take over. That's what they excel at. I mean, so I would absolutely take advantage. He's going to send me stuff tomorrow, allow me some time to also get the recording of this exact event, some other things. So I would say, no later than early next week, I should have things that I can turn right back around to all of you all to pick up where you want to go from there. So, yeah. And in our room there, I called her the wrong name earlier, but be sure you've checked in with Brianna to get your attendance and everything. And we do appreciate you guys pulling this together, to SDP Litchfield for going out and getting some folks to come play golf, and also probably learn some good things. I hope you had fun at both aspects of your event tonight.
Thanks, John. Thanks,
You're very welcome. You guys take care. Have fun.
All right.
John, thanks, man. We'll be in
You bet.
touch. See you,
See
buddy.
you. Okay. Bye.